Zagreb, Croatia earthquake, magnitude around 5.5, March 22, 2020. As the world focused on lockdowns, Zagreb was shaken awake by something no one expected, a magnitude 5.3 to 5.5 earthquake. On the Richter scale, that earthquake is classified as a moderated earthquake. It was the strongest quake to hit the city in over a century. People ran into the streets, some in pajamas, others clutching their children. Buildings cracked open, and the iconic Zagreb Cathedral lost one of its towers. It was an eerie moment of silence, followed by alarms, shouting, and disbelief. The shaking lasted only a few seconds, but its impact was long-lasting. Streets were littered with bricks and debris, cars were crushed, balconies dangling dangerously. In a time when people were already afraid to leave their homes due to COVID-19, thousands found themselves suddenly without one. One of my viewers commented on the last video about this case. Here in Zagreb, Croatia, we still haven't recovered from the 2.5 Richter earthquakes from 2020. It's been 5 years, and they still haven't repaired the facade. Recently, a whole damn chunk fell off his building as well. And every construction site rarely, and I mean rarely, has any workers on it. This wasn't just a one-time scare. Another 5.0 magnitude quake followed shortly after, deepening the cracks. Not just in the walls, but in people's sense of safety. Amid the pandemic, the quake was a cruel reminder. Disaster can strike from any direction. And yes, I'm reading comments. Of course, I can't respond to every comment, but if your comment will be helpful or useful, I will answer. Kobe, Japan earthquake, a magnitude 6.9. January 17, 1995, at 5:46 a.m. In the dark of dawn, a magnitude 6.9 earthquake struck Kobe. On the Richter scale, that earthquake is classified as a strong earthquake. In less than 30 seconds, highways split open like paper, homes collapsed, and fires broke out across the city. Over 6,000 people lost their lives and tens of thousands were injured or displaced. Entire neighborhoods vanished in moments, leaving behind only twisted steel and broken concrete. What made this quake so deadly wasn't just its force, it was its timing. People were still asleep. With no time to react, entire families were buried in their homes. Train lines derailed, water and gas mains burst, and communications failed instantly. Hospitals, already overwhelmed, struggled to treat the endless influx of the wounded under crumbling roofs and failing power. Rescue teams worked for days, digging through rubble by hand. Every minute counted, but hope faded with each passing hour. Volunteers, firefighters, and neighbors worked side by side, often without proper equipment, just desperation and willpower. Stories of small miracles, survivors pulled from the debris after days, offered brief glimmers of hope amid the despair. Japan's confidence in its infrastructure was shaken to the core. Buildings thought to be earthquake-resistant crumbled. The quake triggered massive changes in building codes and emergency preparedness across the country. But in the ashes of destruction, resilience grew. Kobe has rebuilt itself, stronger than before, but it never forgot. Haiti earthquake, a magnitude 7.0. On January 12, 2010, at 4:53 p.m., the ground beneath Haiti ripped apart. A magnitude 7.0 earthquake struck Haiti in the middle of the day. On the Richter scale, that earthquake is classified as a major earthquake. This earthquake devastated Port-au-Prince and surrounding areas so much, buildings, including hospitals and schools, turned to rubble in seconds. The death toll? Over 200,000. Infrastructure already fragile collapsed entirely. Government buildings, homes, even the presidential palace, gone. In a matter of moments, a country already struggling with poverty and political instability was plunged into chaos. People dug with bare hands, searching for loved ones. With no heavy machinery, rescue efforts were slow and painful. Makeshift clinics appeared on sidewalks. Children wandered through the ruins. In the face of such destruction, the world responded with aid, but it was slow, chaotic, and often mismanaged. Promises were made, but much of the money never reached those who needed it. Haiti's tragedy wasn't just natural, it was human. Political, structural, corruption, weak governance, and inequality all contributed to the scale of the disaster. A nation already on the edge was brought to its knees. And while the world eventually moved on, Haiti was still recovering. Even earthquakes far below magnitude 9 have left scars on history. Kobe in 1995, Haiti in 2010, Zagreb 2020. These disasters claimed tens of thousands of lives and reshaped entire cities. They remind us that it's not just magnitude, but location and vulnerability that turn tremors into tragedies. But what happens when the shaking is even stronger? When the very ground beneath entire regions fractures with unimaginable force, the scale of destruction enters an entirely different realm. Entire coastlines can shift, islands can move, and tsunamis can ripple across oceans, spreading devastation thousands of kilometers from the epicenter. Indonesia earthquake, a magnitude 9.1 to 9.3. Now we enter into one of the most destructive earthquakes that our planet produced to this day. Off the coast of Sumatra, a colossal magnitude 9.1 to 9.3 earthquake triggered one of the deadliest tsunamis in history. On the Richter scale, that earthquake is classified as an extreme earthquake. The waves reached 30 meters high, sweeping away everything in their path. Over 230,000 people across 14 countries died. Indonesia was hit hardest. Entire towns were erased from the map. Villages turned into empty plains. Survivors wandered through flattened ruins, calling out names with no answer. For many, even identifying the bodies of loved ones became an impossible task, as thousands were lost to the sea forever. Families were torn apart. The water didn't discriminate. It destroyed palaces and shacks alike. Mosques, schools, markets, all gone. Entire communities vanished in seconds. Videos from the disaster showed walls of water swallowing streets, cars, people, screams, sirens, silence. International aid poured in within days, with nations around the world mobilizing one of the largest humanitarian responses in history. The world watched in horror, many seeing a tsunami in real time for the first time. The quake itself lasted up to 10 minutes, an eternity in seismic terms, and even altered the Earth's rotation. And for years after, those waves echoed in the minds of survivors, trauma, loss, and the question, how could this happen? It was a tragedy that spanned continents, one that still shapes global disaster response today. Chilean earthquake, a magnitude 9.5. As I said before, we entered to the most destructive earthquake that Earth can produce. But this was the worst. Of course, that earthquake wasn't the deadliest one, but the strongest one ever recorded. May 22, 1960. Southern Chile was shaken by the most powerful earthquake ever recorded, magnitude 9.5 earthquake. On the Richter scale, that earthquake is classified as an extreme earthquake, just like the previous one. Towns like Valdivia were destroyed. Rivers changed course, mountains shifted, a massive tsunami followed, crossing the Pacific and reaching as far as Hawaii, the Philippines, New Zealand, and Japan. Boats were tossed like toys. Shorelines disappeared. Over 1,600 people died in Chile, but the destruction was felt around the globe. Entire ports were destroyed. The tsunami reached Japan 22 hours later, killing over 100 people there alone. The Earth itself rang like a bell. This earthquake wasn't just a local disaster. It was planetary. It moved tectonic plates by meters. The event helped scientists understand subduction zones and change seismology forever. It changed science, led to the birth of modern seismology systems, and reminded humanity that the planet is alive and restless. Even today, it stands as a benchmark. Whenever a big quake hits, scientists ask, how does it compare to Chile, 1960? The most important thing now is the question, how much longer can we endure? And if you liked this video, subscribe and check my socials where I'm documenting my progress journey. If someone is using Twitter, give me follow there to help me build bigger audience. Link in the description. See you in the next video.